Now you know how to grab, rotate, and scale objects. It's time I showed you how to clone things. Cuthbert has managed to get himself stuck again. Luckily, I've set up this scene so that we can use the clone tool to rescue him. With this tool, you can make exact copies of anything in the scene. This makes it one of the most useful tools in a Dreamshaper's toolbox. You'll also get a chance to practice with all the other tools that you've learned so far. If we get Connie off this platform, maybe she'll help us out. Let's use the clone tool on this one small block to create a bridge. Remember how we used the L1 button to modify how the grab cam and the left stick work? Well, it can also change how the grab button works. Hover over the floating block with your imp and hold L1. Now grab the block with R2, and remember that if you press it gently, you can move it more slowly. Now you have another block. That's because grabbing things while holding L1 creates a clone of that object. Once you've created the clone, you can release L1, but don't let go of R2 until you're ready to place it in the scene. When you've found the right spot, release R2 to put it down. You can treat a cloned object just like you would any other element. You can move it with R2 and rotate it with L2. And scale it up and down with the directional buttons. Of course, anything you do to the block can be undone with the left directional button. You can even clone the cloned block. Let's do that next. Hover over it, hold L1, then press and hold R2. You can use the clone tool to build a bridge between the first two platforms. Or you can create floating blocks for Connie to jump on. All that matters is that she can get to the next platform, so make sure you test your work in play mode. When Connie can get across, go back to edit mode, rewind time with L3, and move on to the next step. Getting Connie to that third platform looks easy enough. There's half a bridge between them, so we can just clone this block to finish it off. OK, hold L1 and grab the block with R2 to clone it. Let go of L1 to stop cloning, then place the clone by releasing R2 to complete the bridge. That doesn't look quite right. Might need to try something different here. Why don't we rotate the clone? Hold L2 over it, then push the right stick sideways. Well, it's better, but now they don't match. We should probably undo everything with the left directional button and start again. This time, we'll make the arches match up by flipping the clone. Here's how you flip objects. First, hover over the arch and hold L1. Then gently grab the arch with R2 to create a clone. Remember, Release L1 once you've made the clone. You have to release it or the next part won't work. Here comes the cool bit. While still holding the arch, click the L3 button on your controller to flip the arch horizontally. That's all there is to it. Now you try. Hold L1 and grab the arch with R2 to clone it. Release L1 and flip the arch horizontally by clicking L3. And don't forget, you can realign the clone while you're holding it by pressing the triangle button. Now, let's see what happens if you click R3. Nice! The arch is flipped vertically instead. We should probably line it up with the first arch now, and release R2 to place it down. Ah! We probably should have flipped it back first. No problem. Just grab it with R2 and flip it again with R3. Time to switch over to play mode and see how things are working. If Connie can get across the bridge to the third platform, you're ready to move on. But first return to edit mode and rewind time. Okay, Connie, we've almost made it to the door. Ah, but she needs to go across and up now. Good thing you already know how to make clones because we're gonna need them. So hold L1 and grab the block with R2 to clone it. Now place that clone a little higher than the original. And you know what? There's a better way, so let's undo that with the left directional button. We're going to try a new technique called repeat cloning. I bet you can already guess what it does. That's right, it lets you make lots of clones at once. Let's give it a go. Hover over the block again, hold L1 and press and hold R2. Release L1 once you've made the clone. And move the block up and along. Don't put it down yet though. This is where you become a cloning expert. Without letting go of the first clone, press the right directional button to create a second one. And, you guessed it, another press will create a third one. In fact, you can just keep pressing right to create more and more clones in a sequence. And if you make too many, no problem. Just press the left directional button to remove any clones you don't want. As you can see, all the clones are spaced evenly, and you can move the whole sequence by simply moving the clone that's on your imp. If you move the clone up, you can create a staircase. As always, put it down by releasing R2. Once the clones are in place, they won't be in a sequence anymore. You'll have to edit each block individually. See the dotted line around them? That's a selection. When you put repeat clones down, they're always selected automatically. That means you can move them as a group. If you only want to move one block, you can deselect the group by pressing circle. If you want to find out more, there's a whole tutorial on selecting and grouping objects. Move on to the next step when you're ready. Let's get back to the staircase. It's looking pretty good, but I have one more thing to show you before you move on. Let's get rid of all the clones we've made by pressing the left directional button a few times. You'll notice all the repeated clones are undone together. Now hover over the first block, hold L1, then grab it to create a new clone. Remember to release L1 once you've made the clone, otherwise the next bit won't work. This time, move the block where you want the last step of the staircase to be. There, right in front of the door. Don't let go of R2 yet, though. Instead, press the left directional button and... look at that. You've created a sequence of clones between your imp and the original block. You can keep pressing left to create more steps or right to remove them. Once you're happy with your staircase, let go of R2 to place it in the scene. You can create incredible shapes with repeat cloning, so feel free to experiment. How you position the first clone will affect all the repeated clones. Rotating the clones, for example, will let you build ramps and spirals. And if you scale the clone with the up button, you can create a sequence that increases in size. So try different approaches and see what you can come up with. If the path is clear for Connie, switch over to play mode to test the scene. Get Connie to the final platform, then get her to open the door for Cuthbert. If you feel like you've mastered cloning and flipping, walk Connie through the door to complete the tutorial. Good work.